Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from MaliciousCompliance. Story 1 is by Undocumented Mexican. Car wash boss clocks us off if it's quiet. We'll make sure it stays busy. I'm an undocumented Mexican immigrant. I moved to the US 3 months ago and have been working at a hand car wash since. The car wash I work at is staffed with fellow illegals. We all lack ID, and most of us have limited English. These factors interfere with our integration into American society. Our boss is very cheap. He will clock us off when it's quiet and clock us on when it's busy. Sometimes we'll work 25 minutes, then wait 15 minutes unpaid in the staff room. We still have to stay on site the whole day though. I guess that is to be expected at a business like a car wash, which has very thin margins. What did we start to do? We simply started to work slowly and perfectly when it's quiet. We'll work at half speed. We'll wipe down the windows and tires even if they are clean. We'll wash the underbody and engine bay. We'll wash the brake pads. We'll wash the door jambs with a sponge. We'll clay treat all the cars. We'll apply Armor All on all surfaces, even non-visible ones like the engine bay. We'll even vacuum the spare tire bay. All in all, we work very thoroughly when it's quiet. Beforehand, I would have to stay at the car wash from 8 to 4 and would only usually be clocked on for 3.5 hours. Since we've all started to adaptively work, we can net about 6 hours easily. Down in the comments by Mike Zillabot, car washes are very profitable businesses and, in California, tend to sell for millions due to their high margins and profits. Under that by SD Bolts 4, they're also great for money laundering, as we all learned in the docu-series Breaking Bad. If any of you guys have not watched Breaking Bad, and you don't mind a fairly violent series, it's an epic series. Bryan Cranston is the man. Our next story is by Hailstorm 493. You wanted to pay my bill, so here you go. I, 30 female, was reminded of this little malicious compliance in another sub, and was so happy I finally had something to share here, instead of just reading everyone else's. But don't come at me if this sub is the wrong place for this post. About 10 years ago in college, I met up with some friends towards the end of my night and was a bit inebriated. I had a reputation among my friends that no matter how drunk I was always good at math. It was my minor, after all. We ended up hitting a diner for some food, and when the time came, we got split checks. Drunk me grabs my card from my wallet and was waiting for the waitstaff to come collect my payment, and someone I considered a friend at the time refused to let me pay the bill. She claimed I was too drunk and wouldn't be able to do the math for the tip, so she would just pay it. After going back and forth with her for a few minutes and getting increasingly offended and annoyed with her, she takes my check and puts my card down on the table in front of me. When the waiter comes, she tells them that she's paying for the 2 checks in her hand. Fast forward to a couple weeks later and she tells me that I owed her $15. I asked for what and she said my food at the diner, plus the tip and surcharge for having a party larger than 8. I let her know I tried paying my bill that night a few times and she wouldn't let me, but more importantly, I never asked her to pay for me or say I would pay her back. She wasn't happy she was out $15, but she said she was paying for it. Edit, I'm also a girl, and the other girl and I are both straight. A lot of people are saying it was her flirting or trying to ask me out, and even if it was, I was not interested. I'm curious what the amount was and how much you would have paid on that night. I'm actually really curious if she was correct in her calculation of what you owed, or if she was trying to rip you off and get more money for what she paid. Down in the comments by The Jedi with 3 eyes. People need to be clear with money. Something similar happened to me. I was so poor in college that an unexpected $100 expense would be on my credit card until the summer when I could work more. As such, I almost always rejected going out to eat with friends. One time a friend was having people over to her house and was getting takeout. As usual, I said I didn't want any. She texted back, okay. Then I got to the house and she had ordered me food. To be nice. Until she got a second alone with me and said, it was only like $30, you can pay me back whenever. Then she got pissed when I said, Honestly, it will be several months. I just want people to be honest about money. Don't bring my finances into your unspoken social contract. I said no for a reason, as did OP, and our former friends disrespected us by ignoring that without a clear agreement or explanation. Underneath that by Fluffy Mastodon. Or, better yet, if orders food to be nice, then don't ask later to be paid back, especially since you declined initially. I totally agree with that, as I used to be a very broke college student myself. Our next story is by Pladlock. Okay, I'll let you speak. So this happened a good 7 to 8 years ago. I used to work on a help desk. We had a recent switch of a major software to a new one. I'm going to be straightforward with you guys here. They used a word in this that I'm not sure of the definition of, or if it's just a typo. They said this statement. They didn't want to train us on that system, so they paid for a third-party DEAK, D-E-A-K, to deal with those calls. I googled DEAK. The only thing that comes out is a different spelling of DEAK, which is D-E-K-E, which is when you deke out an opponent when you're playing sports. If anybody knows what DEAK actually means, please tell me in the comments, because I didn't learn anything today by Googling, and I'm assuming that's just a typo. Anyway, back to the story. When you called, it was a phone tree that basically said to press 1 for the new software or to press 2 for any other issues. If you pressed 2 and had an issue for line 1, we had to transfer you. We had no training, access, and the contract stipulated it as well. So, no way to help you in any way. Things are different now, but that was the deal at the point. So this user calls us. I get her information, and she proceeds to immediately tell me that she is having an issue with this system. I try to politely interrupt her, and she cuts me off and proceeds to yell into the phone, "How dare you! You do not interrupt me. That is rude, and you will let me finish." I said nothing and let her talk. She proceeds to talk for a full 5 minutes. I timed her, giving me the full rundown of her issues in excruciating detail. She finally finished. I let there be a pause where she goes, "Hello?" both to annoy her a bit and to make sure she's actually done. I put on my AAA+++ customer service voice and asked if she is done, as I didn't want to interrupt her again. I then explained sweetly and politely, "I'm sorry, I was not trying to waste your time earlier when I tried to interrupt. This is the wrong line for the system, and I was just trying to get you the correct line so they can help you. I need to transfer you." Just oozing all the "I was just trying to help you" that I could. There was no sound coming from the phone, but I could feel the red-hot rage and embarrassment coming through the phone as I transferred her to the correct line. FAFO is becoming one of my favorite phrases, and she didn't really F around and find out, but she was rude. And she found out. She wasted her own time and this employee's. So that's on her. F around and find out. Down in the comments by Made in West Germany. I once called the help desk about an issue with my internet connection. I started with, "Look, I don't want to be a jerk or anything, but I'm pretty tech savvy and would ask you skip the basic stuff like plug it in and out, etc. I already checked anything there is." The guy was cool with it, and we started to fix the problem. We tried pretty much everything, but weren't able to get it done. After a while, he was like, "Sorry, it just doesn't seem to work, but before I send you a technician, I have to check one thing. You are with provider XY South, right?" Me, "I'm with XY North." F. "There are 2 of you?" Dude, I'm so sorry. He was nice about it, but I nearly died from embarrassment. Since then, I just follow orders. And under that by The Hawk and the Husky. You owned your mistake. I'm sure you made the guy's workday. Just a side note, I'm not a young person. Something to remember if you're ever at work. We tend to remember the really good things and the really bad things at the same time. If it's a really positive experience and if it's a really negative one. You can create a memory in someone that will never go away. Hopefully it's a good one instead of a bad one. Our stories for today have come to a close. If you enjoy this content, please click like or subscribe. And don't forget to tell me if you know what a DEAK is or if you just think that's a typo. Until we meet again, have a fastidious